Hi, this lab is about configuring a small network that involves the wireless router, a switch, and a few end devices such as the server, the laptop, and a PC. Okay, you can see all the requirement parameters are actually given on the screen itself. Take for example, what are the devices to be used, and what are the connection for different devices using the different ports. Okay, the IP addresses on the server as well as on the PC host A. Okay, when you actually do manual IP address configuration, the parameters will be configured on the wireless router for static IP address assignment, DHCP server assignment, as well as for wireless security configuration. Okay, then for the main switch, which is the difficult part, basically you will actually need to make use of the CLI command interface to configure things like device name, console password, private accessible password, and so on. So basically, in this revision lab, you can see that I've also given the command guide related to what command to be used for every single part of the configuration. Okay, so let's start the lab by actually dragging out all the different devices onto the work screen to logical topology. So let's just go to our end devices and drag out our PC, our laptop as given, and our server. Okay, so because as I mentioned for packet tracer activity, you are actually able to actually make use of the activity screen to help you to actually check whether you did the configuration correctly. So the naming of the devices are actually very important. So when you drag out devices, you will actually come with a default name. So make sure that you actually label it according to the label that is being given. Server will be server. For the PC, the name will be host A. And for the laptop will be actually laptop spacebar 1. Then for the intermediate devices, basically we will need to drag a wireless router. So you can see that the model of wireless router that we're going to make use of today is Linksys WRT300N. Okay, so don't drag the wrong wireless router out because the parameter and label may not be same. So WRT300N, drag it out, and the label that we're going to give it is WRS capital. And for the switch, go to the switch category and drag a 2960 switch out, and the label will be main SW1. Okay, so after that we need to look at the connection information. So you can see that we're supposed to connect the server to the wireless router internet port. Okay, so I hope you still remember that 3 sentences that I asked you to remember. Same devices is crossover cable except PC to router. Okay, then different devices is straight through. Okay, so a wireless router internet port is actually a router, whereas all the internet port is a switch. So basically a server is still a PC category. So it means that for router to PC is supposed to be a crossover cable. So click on the crossover cable dotted line, pass internet port to internet port. Okay, you can see that the link is green, means that it's up and running. If you use a wrong cable, you will find that the link will be red. Okay, so it's a very clear cut indication to that you have used a wrong connection. So let's switch back to our crossover cable to internet. So between the wireless router and the switch, we're going to switch to switch is still a same devices, so we're going to make use of crossover cable again. So Ethernet 2 port to fast Ethernet 0/2 port as given in the instruction here. Then from the switch to the PC is different devices. Okay, so will be fast Ethernet port 0/8 to fast Ethernet 0 port on the PC. Okay. So when you're doing lab on packet tracer, it's advisable to actually enable all the label for device name, model name, as well as the port label. Okay, so go to option, preference. You can see that I've actually enabled the device name, the device model, and the port label. If you see that if I untick, you will see that all the label will be gone. So it's actually advisable for you to enable it to help you when you're doing the lab, to make sure that you have the correct connection as well as the correct devices. Okay, so the easiest configuration that you can do, okay, after we kickstart the configuration after connection will be actually the manual configuration of the IP addresses on the end devices, such as the server and the PC host A. Let's go to the server first. Desktop, IP config, and follow whatever IP address been given to configure the information. So with 100.200.20.20, okay, subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, default gateway will be 100.200.20.1, and the DNS will be 100.200.20.20. So after you have done a static manual configuration of IP addresses, you include this. Go to command prompt and make sure that you verify your IP address that has been configured. So if you just do an IP config, you will only be able to verify the IP addresses, the subnet mask, and the default gateway. In order to look at more detailed information such as DNS, you will need to do an IP config/all. So from there, you can actually verify the DNS server that needs to be configured. Similarly, go to PC, desktop IP address, and configure the IP address given. 192.168.25.140. Okay, 255.255.128. Please be careful with all the number assignment. 68.25.129 for the default gateway, and the DNS will be 100.200.20.20. Same thing. Okay, after you have done the static manual configuration of IP addresses, close it. Go to command prompt, IP config/all. Okay, to verify your IP addresses, your subnet mask, your default gateway, as well as your DNS. Okay, so you can see that, okay, as and when you can actually go to your activity screen to verify, okay, your completion status, as well as click on the check result to verify the configuration, okay, whether you have done it correct. So you can see that currently I have done a correct configuration for my PC host A. I have done a correct configuration for my server. Okay, so close, go back to the main logical topology again to do our configuration. Okay, next we're going to do our wireless, okay, router configuration. Click on it, go to GUI. Okay, so instead of making your DHCP, we're going to change it to static IP to configure the internet IP address parameter. So be 100.100.200.20.1. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Gateway will be 100.200.20.1, and the DNS 100.200.20.20. Okay, for the first portion of configuration. Scroll down. Okay, the DHCP router IP addresses need to be changed. 192.168.25.129, 25.129. The subnet mask is no longer default. Okay, so it's changed to .128. So make sure you select the correct subnet mask to be used. Starting IP 129, and the maximum user is 20. Okay. Okay, so after you've done the first two portions of configuration, which is the static IP internet configuration as well as the DHCP server configuration, okay, make sure you scroll all the way down to save setting before you move to the next menu to do your wireless security configuration. Okay, so for network mode, we need to choose wireless and only, and the SSID we're going to use today is wireless ref. Okay, and the SSA broadcast I'm going to disable today. Okay, okay. So all other parameter, if it's not given, just leave it as default. Scroll down, save setting. Okay, before you move on to the wireless security submenu. As I mentioned, if you don't save your setting, all the configuration that you've done, okay, will be gone if you move to other page of the wireless router. So for the security mode, today I'm going to choose WPA2 personal as mentioned. Encryption will be AES, since it mentioned that I need to change, and the passphrase or the password I'm going to use later will be actually revision. Okay, so that's all we need to configure for the wireless security. Scroll down and save setting. Okay, you can close. So if you want to verify again, you can go to check result and go assessment item and verify what are the configuration that you've done for your wireless router. Close, go back again. So now the more difficult part is actually to do the CLI configuration on the switch. So go to the switch, go to CLI, press enter a few times to go to the first mode, which is the user mode. So enable to go to the private executive mode, hex sign, config T, which is a global configuration mode. So as mentioned, you can actually make use of the command guide to help you to actually practice and remember the command to be used for your test. So hostname in this case will be main SW1 as given under the device name A. So you can see A was command to use hostname. B, I need to configure console password Cisco. So it will be 3 line con 0 password Cisco and login. So line con 0 password Cisco and login. So basically we've done the A and B requirement, and next will be the privilege executive password. Will be enable password followed by class. So after you've done the first three configuration, if you think you need to actually verify the configuration that you've done, what is the command that you can do? Basically it will be checking the running configuration by doing a do show run. So when you do a do show run, you can see that the host name has been configured, the enable password class has been enabled. If you press a few times spacebar to scroll all the way down, you'll find that your line console password has been configured. So the next is to configure the encrypted version of your privileged executive password. So the command basically is enable secret followed by whatever password that's been given secret class. Press enter. So what is the differences between the unencrypted and the encrypted version of your privileged executive password? Let's do a do show run to check the differences between them. So when you do a do show run, you will find the differences between them. Enable password, you can see the actual password being used, but for the enable secret password, you will find that the password is actually encrypted. So the encrypted password actually is a much more preferred password configuration for private executive mode, because it will prevent anyone standing behind you from knowing what is the password that you have used. So in instances whereby you configure both of them, always take note that the secret password will take precedence over the unencrypted password. It means that instead of class, you'll be actually making use of secret class as a password to log on to your router. So you can actually try out by doing exit. So you can see that it prompts me for password. This is console mode, so the password will be Cisco. And when I type enable, the password to be used now will be secret class. So basically this password is the Cisco password, and this password will be class. So next BTY password. Let's go to config T again. Line BTY 015 for 15 for 16 different software port. Password to be used will be Cisco BTY and login for your telnet configuration. So next will be to configure a warning message for your Cisco switch. So so something that I want to take note of is that just now when you actually log in, you only see the user access verification followed by a password to be keyed in. So I'm going to configure a warning message to be displayed at the start. So the command basically is banner motd. In order to start the warning message, I will need to use a hex sign, and the warning message I'm going to do today will be warning exclamation mark, do not enter, exclamation mark followed by a hex sign. Okay, so take note that the hex sign is basically called the delimiter character, which helps to indicate the starting of your message as well as the ending of the message. Okay, press enter. Okay, if you were to exit again all the way out, you will see that now my warnings message has been displayed. Log in again, Cisco and secret class to go into my private executive mode, followed by config T. Okay. So we have actually configured our video password also, but in order to verify whether we can telnet to do remote access to the switch, we will actually need to configure an IP address on the switch. So the command to configure address on the switch basically will be interface VLAN 1 followed by IP address 192.168.25.135 followed by the subnet mask 255.255.255.128, which is the parameter given here. So press enter and no shut. So I've configured my interface VLAN 1 with the address and the subnet mask that is being given in the topology here. So how do I verify the IP addresses that I've configured? You can either do a do show run, scroll all the way down, you can see your interface. But this is not a good method to verify your configuration on the interface because it doesn't show you the status of the interface. So the better command you can use is show IP interface brief. Scroll spacebar, scroll down, you can see the IP addresses that we configured on VLAN 1 as well as the status of the port, which indicate that it's up. So if you want to look at more detailed information on interface, you can do a do show interface VLAN 1, which is the interface number. Then you can see more detailed information such as the IP addresses, the subnet mask configure, and even the physical address or the MAC address that is being tagged to the interface itself. So after we've done that, you can actually try to test out your telnet by going to host A PC command prompt. Let's do a ping first to the switch to make sure that we can actually connect to the switch by verifying the connectivity. 192.168.25.135. Pause for a while to make sure that you get a reply. You can see that I'm getting a reply. Let's do a telnet. 192.168.25.135. So prompt your password in this case will be Cisco VTY. So basically the password is Cisco VTY, which is the virtual password that we configure on the switch. Let's do an exit. Close it. Let's continue our configuration. So as I mentioned, telnet is actually not a good configuration to be done for remote access because the information or the data flow that transit between the devices and the network devices is unencrypted in clear text form. So a better way to configure will be making use of secure shell SSH. Because the traffic that flows between the devices will be encrypted. So in order to configure your secure shell, you actually need to make sure that you have a device name. That means your host name has been configured. You need to configure your domain name. You need to actually create an encryption key, and you need to create a username with a password, as well as you need to enable secure shell on the VTY, which is the remote access mode. So since we have already configured our host name, next configuration will be the domain name. Domain will be IP domain name. In this case, I'm going to use of revision. And to generate the encryption key will be crypto key generate RSA. It asks you for how many bits. The longer the bit, the better the encryption key. So in this case, I'm going to use 1024 today, 1024-bit. Okay, so next we'll be creating of the username as well as the password SSH for usage. So will be user name admin followed by the password SSH pass. Okay, this will actually create a local user with a password SSH pass as given here. Press enter. Okay, so in order to enable the secure shell to be used, we need to go into the BTY mode again, line BTY 015. Okay, I'm going to ask it to use the local username, okay, admin that I created. So instead of login, I will need to change to login local. Okay, and I'm going to enable the SSH. So we'll be making use of the transport input SSH command. Okay, so by default, okay, Cisco's devices have actually transport input on, means that it allows both telnet and secure shell. So once you have configured telnet, you should just only allow secure shell. So after you have done this, okay, it means that you have actually configured your device, your switch to allow secure shell connection. And test it out by going to the PC. So you can see that now if I do a telnet, it doesn't allow me to go in. So in order to actually SSH to the switch, I need to do SSH dash L, small l, okay, the user admin followed by the IP address, okay, of the switch. Okay, so as I mentioned again, take note that this is small l, not 1, because a lot of students always like to thought that this is a 1. Okay, so press enter, you will find that it actually prompt you for a password, which in this case will be SSH pass. Okay, so basically once you configure SSH pass, you will be able to go into the switch to verify that you have SSH access. Okay, so the last part of configuration is to make sure that your laptop, okay, can connect wirelessly to the wireless router. So open your laptop. By default, the laptop doesn't come with wireless interface that's been inserted. So you need to switch off the laptop, drag the card out, make sure WPC3N is selected, and drag the card in, power on, go to desktop. Okay. So in order to configure the wireless security for laptop, you need to click on the PC wireless. Okay. So today, if you try to go to connect and you refresh or wait for a while, you won't be able to see your SSID because I've actually disabled the broadcast. So we need to actually manually key in the SSID. Go to profile, edit, advanced setup. Okay, so for the wireless network name, you will need to key in the wireless SSID. In this case, will be wireless REV. Next, okay, leave this as default. Next, security, I'm going to make use of WPA personal, must be the same as what I configured on the wireless router. Next, take note that just now the encryption that we use is AES, so change it accordingly. And the password will be revision as what you configured earlier. Next, and save and connect. Okay, so if you configure everything correctly, after a while you'll find that you will have wireless connectivity between the laptop and the wireless router. Okay, if you're going to take a look at the IP configuration, it will be actually in the range that you have actually configured on the wireless router. Okay, so basically this is what you have actually need to configure, and basically you also need to do the necessary ping between the devices to ensure connection.